Hi, Bill Vales here, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting new show that we've been working on at LCTV. The name of the show is Your Backyard. And on Your Backyard, we're going to take you through all the conservation trails that are in Littleton. And our guide for this is going to be the Guide to Conservation Land of Littleton, Mass. And this book was put out by the Littleton Conservation Trust, written by Art Lazarus, a longtime Littleton resident and geologist. We're very excited about this show, and we'd like you to sit back, relax, and let's see where your backyard takes you today. Hi, here we are at Bumblebee Park. This is a little spit of land, if you will, at the intersection of Harwood Road and Tahatawan Road. This land was donated by Harry and Virginia Sprong in 1969 to memorialize their dog, Holly, hence the name Bumblebee Park. And it's about 1 acre, so it's going to be a very short walk. And I should make note that the entrance to this has 2 holly bushes here, which is very appropriate. And this one looks like the female because it has the red berries. The one to the right would be the male. So the land has been cultivated somewhat to enhance some bird life and some wildflowers. Quite a brush pile over here. Some industrious people are cleaning things up. I see a lot of poplar trees here. These are all poplars in the family of the quaking aspen. Many of us mistake these for birch, but these are poplars. Oh, here's a rake here. Looks a lot like the rakes that we have at home. My wife will know what that means. I would say that this is the end point of Bumblebee Park. It's triangular in shape because it comes to the point where Tahatawan and Harwood Road meet. I have a nice old stone wall here at the end. Large, multi-branched, let's see, I'm going to say a maple tree. This looks like a maple. And let's walk around back. This is kind of interesting here. This, look at the little spikes on how these branches tend to grow on this tree. I think this is a cherry tree, has the lenticels. This is cherry. These are the type of tree you wouldn't want to stumble into and back up against. It would hurt. So see a lot of oak leaves, which you'd expect. There's a large oak over there, red oak. Another one of these cherry trees with all the short branches that look like spikes. There's another one. You can see some of the fruit on them. I hear the chatter in here. This is fall. We're at the beginning of November, so I hear the chatter of some of our winter birds coming in, the juncos, the white-throated sparrows. You can kind of hear just a little chatter. Nice hemlock tree over here. Oh, I'm off the trail, but and here we are. And this is exactly where we started, at Holly Park. And something I need to mention. You should always check yourself when you're in the woods for ticks. At our last excursion, I had 2 ticks on me. You know, you should just always be diligent about checking yourself for ticks. It's best to wear light-colored things, unlike this black, but maybe blue or white, because the ticks will show up more on that. But always check yourself for ticks. And let's get another shot here of these holly bushes here. Hollies have the attribute that they need to be mated by a female and a male tree, bush rather. This is a female, and it really looks spectacular. This is the male over here. Kind of drab in look, but clearly large and bold in stature. Okay, well that's Holly Park. On the entrance to Holly Park is a lovely bench here, and the bench was clearly placed. We can see cut marks in the bench that were done to make a square piece of granite. Whether or not this rock, this boulder behind us, was placed by man or placed by the glacier, I'm not sure. I'm sharing this bench here with some animal that is enjoying some of the fruits. Looks like cherries. And I'm not going to disturb those because perhaps he or she will be back to finish that. There's an interesting tree here. I'm not quite sure what this is, but I'm going to do a little research on it and I'll determine what this is. Okay, today we're going to head up the road a little bit and we're going to go down to Bumblebee Park. So follow me and off we go to Bumblebee Park. Okay, here we are at Bumblebee Park. We're right off of Harwood Ave. And this is a lovely area. It's about 15.5 acres of mixed habitat. Have some meadow area here, little woods on the periphery of the land. This is a great sledding area for young kids and even older people alike. You can get a real nice ride down these slopes in the winter, and you don't have a lot of effort to walk back to the top. So that means you parents that have to pull your kids up the hill, you'll be happy to know that. This meadow area is delightful. I would expect to see in here in the springtime a lot of meadowlarks, field sparrows, indigo buntings, and other birds that like the seeds of grasses. I'm sure there's a lot of deer that browse through here as they do throughout Littleton. I can attest for that with all my abrevieties eaten to shreds. Okay, walking across the meadow area, we're going to enter a wooded area that's on the periphery of the land here. You'll notice here that the trails are marked with red metal signs. So it's very clear where we're going. Now we're in a nice, quiet, wooded area. Okay, so we're in this, we've entered the area of the woods, just coming out of the meadow. Some low vegetation here. A few very young white pines I see around us. Some red oaks, fairly young. You know, 20 years old maybe. This is a lovely fall day, early November, and one thing that I've noticed, I just thought of it, is one of these consistent things in my life, and that is the sound of walking on leaves. This is a sound I can remember from my youngest days that's never changed, and there's something nice about that. And there are a lot of leaves in here. It's a young oak forest and plenty of oak leaves. Okay. Rustle, rustle, rustle of leaves. At this point in the trail, we go left or we go right. We're going to take a little diversion to our left here. And this would take us back to where we parked the car. Now, this tree reminds me of something that should be in a children's book. It seems to have a lot of faces on it. A lot of arms coming out, fairly large in girth, about 3.5 feet wide. This is an oak tree. This is an oak tree. And this looks like a white oak tree. Okay, and I can tell that because the leaf tends to be a little rounded. A little more rounded, and the red oak will tend to be a little pointed. So my hunch is, given the 3 or 4 leaves that I still see on this tree, is that it's a white oak tree. But it has a lot of personality. I mean, look at the arms coming out, the holes in the tree. That's a neat tree. Now, something to look for here, since we're in an area that's pretty much dominated by oak trees, would be, of course, acorns. And what likes acorns? Well, one of the animals that likes acorns are turkeys. And you can find turkeys in this environment. Certainly they're all through Littleton. And one key to turkeys are their feathers, of course. And this is a great turkey feather. And one thing to notice about the turkey feather, it tends to be very flat on top. Okay, and that's just a characteristic of the turkey feather. If you've ever seen a turkey fly, they are not the most graceful flyers, okay? They will tend to, when they roost at night, they'll tend to be on the ground, and when they roost in the trees, they will go straight up. They will just shoot, boom, straight up. And this adaptation helps them get that very quick lift. So look for turkey feathers. Turkey feathers are a good thing. Okay, well, I want to make note here of the stone wall that bounds the property here. This, I would say, is on the north side of the property. And a nice old stone wall. And stone walls are really a great feature of New England, and we have a lot of them in Littleton. So you should always make note of the stone walls, where they're running, because it tells us something about the past use of the land. Okay, so here I am on the Peter W. Turney Trail, and Pete was a longtime earth science teacher in the town of Littleton, and he's also very active on the Littleton Conservation Commission, and this trail is named for Pete. So good show, Pete. Okay, we're on the yellow trail now, and off to my left, this trail here is bounded by another great stone wall, and off to the left here is a little bit of wetland. And we see in the wetland out here, we have what looks like a pair of Canada geese out there. And this looks like it would be a great place to see wood ducks and other variety of ducks. I would expect to see wood ducks pairing off here in the spring. Wherever there's a little bit of water, and people always say, oh, it's just a swamp. Well, it's just a great place to find bird life, okay, and wildlife. They love water, they love this edge habitat. So whenever I go birding, this is what I look for, okay? I would expect to see here varieties of ducks, various warblers, maybe even a bittern. So this is really a nice little spot right off Harwood Ave. So you can rest your brain cells with a quick stop and reinvigorate yourself with probably a half an hour. So, well, we're heading up towards the height of the land, but this rock here caught my attention because of the flat surface on top. It looked like it was cut by man, and sure enough, this is some sort of commemorative stone here to LSD. I think we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so we're winding our way up to the height of land, and the height of land is about 310 feet above sea level. But keep in mind, we didn't start at sea level. But it looks like this is going to wind around and take us up to the top of land. We see some bedrock outcrops here. We'll get a closer look at those as we walk by. Okay, we're still heading towards the height of land. And here's a bedrock outcrop here. And this is quite nice. What we have here is a piece of gneiss. So we could say it's a nice piece of gneiss. I threw myself a softball there. But one of the characteristics of gneiss is this banding that occurs. And this banding tends to occur in granitic rocks that's under a high compressional forces that tend to have a lot of mica in them. And under the compressional forces, the different minerals align in these bands. And this is a great example of this. This rock is probably part of what geologists consider the Neshoba Formation, okay, which we talked about in more gruesome detail in Littleton Rocks 1 and 2. But this is a great piece of gneiss. And I also see here some quartzite. Quartzite here and quartzite here. And those would be contemporary with the gneiss. Okay, great. Okay, here we are at the height of land, about 310 feet above sea level. I hear off to my right a Carolina wren, which have actually increased their range. And we found them in Littleton over the last, I want to say about 5 years. It seemed that the Carolina wren made their showing here with the red-bellied woodpecker. And I'm always distracted when I hear birds, so if I'm darting off. I wanted to make note here, I mentioned back further that we had seen what I thought was a white oak tree as opposed to red oak, and I found another white oak tree. Now, here's a red oak leaf. You can see here the sharpness of the edges of the leaf there. Now compare this with a white oak. You see how the edges of this are rounded? That's a distinguishing factor between these two species of trees. They're both oaks, so they're in the same genera, but this is red oak, this is white oak. So this is a delightful area. I can see here, this would be a great place for sledding. Absolutely great. I can see we'll probably be up here with my grandkids this coming winter. And we're gonna head back to my car now, and that's Bumblebee Park.